we want you to leave this place as excited as we are about the future of this museum. As Tina mentioned, the museum has been here for a long, long time, and we're very thrilled that the Central Bank is is a really key partner in allowing the foundation. This is a non-profit organization to continue to be here and also to curate the Central Bank collection. As you know, the Central Bank has a tremendous gold exhibition. It also has a lot of masters, and the Central Bank is also now in an acquisition program for contemporary art. What makes us so excited is that the Philippines is gaining ground in the world as a country that is producing a lot of wonderful artists. And as you know, the contemporary art scene in the world has become a very dynamic one. A lot of art fairs all over the world. And in a way, I think the reason why, and Patrick Flores here is the expert, but from my own little knowledge of this, is that contemporary art actually is a very universal language. It transcends boundaries, it transcends nationalities, it transcends culture. And so in the way the world is becoming one universal language through art. And so all the different artists in the world, whether they're Chinese or Filipino, are able to communicate whatever their message is through paintings and through sculpture and through photography. So we feel that this museum, having this wonderful space, this beautiful area, which is the cultural part of our city, we felt that it would be an important strategic direction to really focus on modern contemporary art. And as I said, it covers all the ranges of forms of art. What we hope to achieve, though, is to bring it to world-class standards, and that will take a lot of effort and resources to achieve. Many paintings are very large. If we are to attract foreign shows, the museum would have to be of world-class standards and safety, security, lighting, etc. So we thought that we would start first with with getting everybody to be excited about this effort. So we're calling this a metamorphosis. And this is baby step number 1. You're the first group we're talking to about how we rally everybody to be involved in this effort, because this is everybody's museum. This is not a government museum, it's not a private family museum, it's not a university museum. It's really a museum that's run by the board of trustees who are all totally dedicated to this effort. So tomorrow night we're actually having this gala night. It'll be broken up into a dinner, fundraising dinner, and then there'll be an after dinner party. Because we want the young people to really care about this art and to really feel engaged with this whole effort that we're undergoing. As I mentioned, this is baby step number 1. What we hope to do is get everybody to be aware towards, so that we can then work towards a more ambitious program in the future. Upgrade the building, upgrade the museum, upgrade put an elevator, and things like this, which are minimal things that we think we need to have. We have very ambitious plans, but the first of which is for everyone to understand what is Filipino contemporary art. What we hope to put here is really proven artists, so that the audience can now appreciate what is, number 1, who we are, what we have as our history, and what is this contemporary art that everyone's talking about. So to do this, we are so lucky to have the most wonderful curator. I think nobody will ever question that he's the foremost curator in the Philippines. He did it as a timeline for now, because very many of us don't really even know what the timeline is. My mother was a painter, And all I know was that she belonged to a period called moderns, the 13 moderns. I just know that because I read it somewhere. But nobody told me, I don't think, let's say if you look at Western art, you know that it's Impressionist, and then there's abstract, and then there's expressionist. There's a word for everything. And so for us, we thought it would be great for everyone to learn about what our timeline is, how is the history of our art progressed.
And it begins in the early part of the 20th century. So the first image of the exhibition is Amor Solis. It's a work by Fernando Amor Solis. So this initiates the viewer to the conservative school. The conservative school at the time that was nurtured at the School of Fine Arts at the University of the Philippines. And that conservatism or academic style would be challenged by Victorio Edades, who is acknowledged as one of the first, one of the pioneers of modern art in the country. So I think that's the first important tension that we would like to foreground. The tension between the conservative school and the modernist school. So that's the first part. This forms the first section of the exhibition, which is called Horizon, which is from 1915 to 1964. Why 1964? Because that was the time when abstractionist Ceboya and the modernist sculptor Napoleon Alberto represented the country at the Venice Biennale. The first time the country would be represented in the prestigious global exhibition of art. So it is a combination of the struggles of modernism from the Amazon period to the 60s. So in between you have movements like the 13 moderns, of which Anita Mancesay, for instance, was a member. And then you have neo-realists in the 50s and the development of abstraction after the 50s. So that's the first section. The second is trajectory, which is from 65 to 83, which is, for me as an art historian, is the beginning of the contemporary period. So there are many ways to talk about contemporary period art historian. So this is my own interpretation of the history of the contemporary Philippines. So the break would come in the late 60s to early 70s. So this is called trajectory. So the important movements in this period would be the expressionism. Expressionism embodied in the works of the likes of Angel Pope, for instance, Juan Movimento, Danilo Dalén, and so on. There was also focus on folk expression in the fine art through the works of Jose Blanco from the Lecture Tango and others. And so that's one part. The other part is the role of the cultural center of the Philippines, which really developed a different language of modern art. So they promoted internationalism in that period. So you have, in a way, you can say CCP school experiments and also some beginnings of the avant-garde at the cultural center. So, but that was also resisted by a different movement, political art, called social realism, also in the same period. So there was a great deal of tension happening at the time. So you had the continuation of modernism, you also had conceptualism of the avant-garde, and then social realism. So that, in a way, cemented the foundations for a very dynamic contemporary art beginning and continuing through the 80s. So the last section is called Latitude, which begins in 84 and continues up to the present. So the last section is the art of the present, from the 80s through the 90s. There are two sections in the exhibition that are changing. They change every 6 months. So while the three sections are more or less stable because they have been the art there has been historicized more or less. The two sections allow the museum to foster dynamism because contemporary art the story of contemporary art is still continuing. It's not yet over. So there should be sections devoted to expressions at the threshold, knocking at the doors of the museum for it to be represented as part of the expression of the culture of the time. So these sections are called, the first one is Direction, which is about new art by young artists. And the other one is called Sphere, which is a section that focuses on a particular aspect of the history. It could be about an artist, it could be about a movement, it could be about a comparison between two artists or movements, for instance. It could be also about one work. So this section allows the museum to go more in depth on a particular aspect of the history. So while the historical part has a horizontal movement in terms of its linear progression, this one has a vertical movement, at least sphere, because it's able to focus on a particular aspect and exhaust possibilities of, let us say, interpretation of that aspect. So these two allow the museum to be more experimental in its approach to contemporary.
The Philippine Contemporary Art Exhibition is all on the second floor. Okay. The gallery which you see now is what we call the tall galleries. And we have a different exhibition here that is changing. In other words, it's just going to be here for 1 month. Now, this was also curated by Dr. Patrick Flores, and I would like him also to say something about his curatorial concept for this changing exhibition.
Mr. K is one of the most active collectors in the country, and his collection is quite extensive, ranging from the prehistoric collection, let us say pottery, to the colonial collection of ivory and colonial sculpture, to the modern and the contemporary. I think he's one of the very few, if not the only one, who has this kind of extensive collection of pieces from the prehistoric to the contemporary. So, Paulino K, for 1 month, is presenting 25 pieces from his contemporary art collection. So he chose these pieces personally. I just helped him hand the pieces actually. So this is, I think, the fourth in a series of efforts of Mr. K to share the collection with a larger public.
Our group of sponsors, we have Bello Medical Group, we have Bench, Century Properties, Del Monte, Vida, there's PLTP, Santa Elena Construction, a lot more, and they're here, and I think all of them are with a common view of really helping the museum become preeminent in contemporary art. Sometimes there's really no rhyme or reason for them to be next to each other. They went beyond that and just to help the museum.